right, welcome to Thursday tech training. Today we're doing DocuSign and commissions. So this is sort of maybe the more interesting topics for a lot of agents is, how you get paid, how you move around the forms, when we're thinking about, actually getting some work done. I feel like this is kind of where our head goes, we're actually doing it. We're doing the things. Okay, so I got my screen shared here with kwcentral.com. I'm going to start every tech training with that, probably forever, or whatever version of this website exists whenever I'm giving a tech training, because this is where you go to find resource or where you go to find my information if you don't have it already. So we're just on the top page here. Lots of good resources here for lots of reasons. Please browse it, but I want to take your attention today to tech support and training. So let's see. This is my tech support training page. I've gone through it each day. I'm going to do it again. I'll probably do it tomorrow. I think it's a really good resource for everyone to have. If there's anything I can ever think to add to it, I'll probably put it here. So this will probably grow over time. And I just want this to be sort of a go-to place for if you don't really know where to go. If you have a question, you can find your answer here. So I got my email, I got my phone number. If you need to schedule an appointment with me, you don't have to even ask. You can just click and schedule an appointment with me, or you can send me an email and ask. It doesn't matter. I'll get a notification if you do that. So will you. It'll go on our calendars. So that's a great way to just get some of my time if you've got a particular question. Other links down here at the bottom, KW Answers. We talk about it every day. Click through today because we're talking about DocuSign and commissions. So DocuSign, just put that in there. Make sure you spell it right and go. DocuSign quick support guide. This is where you go if you think you have an issue. So don't get misled there. But even if you did go here, if you were looking for how do I get started with DocuSign, when you're on this thing that's like, oh, this is where you go if you've got problems. Get the stuff on the side here. There are related articles. So go to My Command DocuSign Workflow in this case, and you're going to find sort of the how to get going stuff. So look for the keywords, workflow, getting started with, stuff like that. If you're looking to kind of just introduce yourself to a topic. And even if you already know a little bit about it, it's not a bad place to go because there's a lot of links in all of those articles, not just DocuSign, but any other one that's got something like workflow and getting started with. And you can always click through to a particular topic that maybe you have a question on. So if you can't find exactly what you're looking for, you can check the sidebar, look for the getting started with article, flip through it, look for some links. And of course, whether or not you find what you're looking for, you can always reach out to me and I'm happy to help you figure out whatever it is you need to figure out. kwcentral.com, that's where we are right now. If you feel like you don't know where the locations are, you can click here, or you can go to location and contact information. And that'll give you all the addresses of where the different offices and business centers are and all the different contact information here. KW logos. If you want to go here and download all the logos for your various marketing materials, like from the designs class that we had yesterday, you can download them here. This is sort of the main way that people teach to do it. Go 832, that's our market center number, click download. You'll have a bunch of zip files that you'll need to extract, take all the good stuff out, put it in one spot on your computer so you can get at it really easily. If you want to do it a different way, you can go up to Agent Resources Office Logos here, which takes you to a different spot. It's a different spot on this page. And these are the KW Central specific logos, which are the same ones you would have downloaded the way I was talking about before. I would note that if we're on the page before, if you had just kept scrolling down, there would have been more generalized, just Keller Williams logos. So if you're looking for a simple KW or a KW logo, not saying Central here or something like that, for whatever reason, you would find it there. There's also a couple of things down here at the bottom if you just want some basic KW stuff. Why are all of these blinking? We talk about that every day. The ones that are blinking, that if you save as, they have a transparent background. So if you slap them on a contrasting background, it'll show up and be all nice, and then the background you have will stay consistent. I suppose something like this will just be like a white square. Maybe you like that look, but if you're looking to kind of blend it, or if you want the contrast of the white square, you got your choices here. Little instructions here on how to control some of that. If you like this red background that's appearing and disappearing, you right click and hit copy, and you'll drop it into a design. It'll copy that red background. If you right click and go save image as, it's going to leave that red background behind, and you're going to have that transparent background that you can apply to something. So that one exists, I promise. All right, let's go to textbook training again. Is there anything else that I want to share with everybody before we jump in? Just pay attention to all these resources. Come and take a look at it. YouTube channel for Scott Roy Marketing for workflow. Lori Ballin is another good resource for that. And make sure you check out our YouTube channel, KV Central NC YouTube channels, where I keep everything updated with all our videos. Share your story, tech training. Glad you asked, which is Teresa and Tiffany's compliance resource. Same big boot camp. All right, so let's take a look at our first topics. So today we're talking about DocuSign and commissions. Now, command is all connected to itself. So you can go to agent.kw.com and it'll take you to this. Sign in with your username and password. Here we are. We're going to bounce off the homepage like we do every time. Don't get discouraged if you see something like that. Just refresh it. And hopefully it'll come right back up. Or it's because it's trying to go straight into opportunities. I think I must have been logged in already. So if I go to home, that's where the login page wants to keep taking me. So we just learned a little bit of something together. You can either refresh, maybe go to the home page, and you'll have a little bit more luck loading things up. All right, so here we are on the home page. Remember, you can customize all this stuff with the customize home button, depending on what you want to turn on and turn off and how you want to arrange it. I know I'm going a little bit fast on some of that stuff, but you can always see Monday video for more in-depth stuff or some of the stuff I'm going to screen through today and get to DocuSign. So homepage, we're going to bounce from there to contacts because we need to have a contact before we can have an opportunity. We need to have an opportunity before we can go into DocuSign and create commissions. So we're just going to go through all that stuff. So here, you're in contacts. Click through your contact. And I've been learning more and more that some of the easiest ways to get to the opportunity you're looking to get to is just to click through your contact, find the opportunity that you're looking for. Remember, one contact can have many opportunities, but you can only have one email address in your contacts list of any sort. So you can't have two contacts with the same email address, you'll get an error. But many opportunities on one contact, that's totally fine. Test listing 2. That'll take me straight into the opportunities that I'm looking to go into. Now, another way to get through, I'll show you in a second, but the advantage of this one is that it takes you straight into the information that you're familiar with working with. You know it's that contact, you know that that's the opportunity. You're not searching around, maybe I need this opportunity, maybe I needed that. Is it going to go to the right place? Just helps you kind of line it all up to go from your context, but you don't have to. So going from the home page here, we go, to this little handshake opportunities. Remember, you can open and close that little red box, go to opportunities. And here is sort of one step back, 2 steps back from where we just were. So this is where the opportunities live. You can kind of see all of the things you're doing here. You have listings, 3 in cultivate, 1 in appointment, 1 in active, 1 under contract. These are all dummy listings for me. You have buyers, 1 active, if you're doing leases stuff. You can click through these little circles or the words to get to the different stages. Now, if you're going to cultivate, you're going to find all of your opportunities there in the cultivate stage. You're going to be looking for whatever it is, the one that you're looking for. You can move over to appointment, see what's there as well. Just keep in mind that if we're back here and we click to appointment, we're going to the same place. So it's just 2 ways to kind of navigate around an opportunity sum. So I'm going to take a look. We'll go back 1, go to all opportunities. 1 more way to find an opportunity if you're having trouble. Go to all opportunities. You can see a list of anything that you've got active, anything that's not closed after 30 days, anything that's not lost, anything that's not archived. You'll find it here. We talked a little bit lost, archived, and closed, I think probably on Monday. We'll talk a little bit about that in a little while too. Anyway, so I've been looking for test listing 2 this whole time. I've been going to the same one each time. We'll do it from here. Is it an appointment? No. Is it an active? Yes, there it is, test listing 2. So right back here, we've come to the same place a couple of different ways. I did it through contacts. I did it through all opportunities. I did it through the opportunities page. We're all going in the same place here. It just takes us straight into this is our opportunity. This is the transaction we're talking about. This is where we want to be working. These are the details. Literally, here we are with the details. So we talked about how if you keep this stuff filled out, it will benefit us later when we're talking about DocuSign, and that's what we're going to learn today. So take the time to click these pencils, fill out anything that you know for sure. Anything you don't know, leave blank. Of course, you don't want to, put in bad data or anything like that. Anything that you got here, seller profile, and then we're going to get into documents. So now we're working with somebody and we need to have these documents to kind of push around. So working with real estate agents, I think is a really common one for everybody. So we'll probably use that as an example a lot today, although I don't think I have access to it. Sorry, because I'm not a licensed agent. But you'll notice here that, maybe, we already did the DocuSign thing. We got them to sign working with real estate agents, and we want to submit it. And we have this piece of paper that somebody signed. It doesn't mean anything if we don't give it to anybody, right? So we want to give it to somebody. So I want to put it here, but this thing's a little, it's grayed out. And this has been a common sort of confusion because it wasn't always like that. So I want to show you what we mean by that. And we'll come back around and talk about it too after we do this. We're going to go into DocuSign after this. So look at the attached files from, it's looking at your connected DocuSign account to Command. Keep in mind that if you have signed into DocuSign on your web browser, as opposed to Command, it's going to check for that sign and won't ask you to sign in. That doesn't seem to be terribly troublesome until you maybe have more than one DocuSign account. Then you will have trouble. So if you have more than one DocuSign account and you're trying to sign in to the DocuSign associated with a particular opportunity here, make sure you are signed out of DocuSign on your web browser everywhere before you try to go to your DocuSign here, because what it's going to try to do when we go to transaction, it's going to try to sign into the account that's connected to Command. And if you're already signed in over here somewhere with a different account, it's going to have this be like, oh, you're already in, but it's not this profile, and now I have trouble. So it'll give you a little bit of issue if you try to do that. So make sure you sign out of all of your DocuSign accounts if you have more than one. You could sign into the one that's with Command. It won't give you any trouble if that's the case. Or you will sign in when you go to transaction through here. But that was a long-winded way of saying this little tab is looking for the DocuSign account that's associated with Command. Attached file from DocuSign, should also say parentheses, the DocuSign account associated with Command. So it's looking in that account and it's going to look for a working folder if you have if you have one. We'll talk about that too when we go into DocuSign, but essentially it's saying once we're in the rooms in DocuSign, if you create a folder to help organize yourself, you're going to put in only the documents that you want to worry about in this one folder. And any of the things that you're not really so concerned with, you'll put, just kind of leave in the room or in a different folder. And you can kind of sort through and organize yourself that way. You could choose not to use a folder at all, because here you'll see room docs is an option, which just means I'm going to look anywhere in the room for any documents. What that's doing is it's programming this drop-down tab to look at wherever these two things have filtered it to. So this tag right now is looking in my account in DocuSign, in the room docs associated with this room. I don't have any documents in there for it to find. If I had a folder, I could click that and we'd be looking at DocuSign into that folder only, and only that would show up on this drop-down tab. So it's just a way to kind of sort it out. If you've got a lot of documents that you're working with, you don't want to just scroll forever through this little drop-down tag because you've got like 100 documents or something. You can make a folder, put in just like the 10 or 20 that you're worried about, and then you'll only have a list of 10 or 20 to flip through in here. So it can make it a little bit easier. But when we come back around, you'll see that if you've got DocuSign connected and you've got everything filled out, right here is where you would find all of your documents. You could accidentally put whichever one you want here, but you want to look for working with real estate agents, and you'd be able to pick it right here, click done. It would be right there. That's it, because DocuSign's totally connected. Now, if you're not using DocuSign, you would have to do something like My Computer manual. Then you would have browse, and then you'd have to find it on your computer and upload it that way. Not the worst thing ever, but it is a few more clicks and a few more steps. So I think that it's really advantageous to use DocuSign. That's what we're going to learn today, and that's what's going on. So we learned about where we are. We learned about how to get here. Remember that there's the different checklist of different documents here, depending on the kind of transaction that you have. These ones up here will populate different lists, different conditions. And generally speaking, this is what you need to submit, the required ones, of course, and then there's the conditional ones, depending on if they're relevant. And then which ones are relevant is a question for your coach or Teresa or someone who is more interested in making sure that you are doing it properly. I'm here to teach workflow. I'm happy to show you how to get documents sent out, filled out, got into Command, but I don't want to mislead anybody about what's required and what's not. So make sure you're asking the right person the right questions. Offers and commissions. We're going to jump over there and we're going to talk about offers and commissions today, how you can create an offer, how you can compare offers, how you set up a commission. This is how you set up how you're getting paid. So we'll come back to that. So let's rewind a little bit here. because all of this stuff is sort of intertwined in sort of a cycle. So we just saw some of the different tabs. We're going to rewind. We're going to go back to documents. We're going to go into DocuSign now and talk about, okay, I know where it all goes in command. How do I get what I need to get to go into commands? We're going to go to transaction, or that button might say start a transaction if you haven't created one yet. And it's going to take me in to my DocuSign account that's associated with my command email address. Oh, there he is. Let's go. All right, so that just signed me in with my email address. Here we are in the room. I'm going to take a second to point out one other thing. From the home page in command, if you're like, if you have more than one DocuSign account, how do I know which one is connected to command? Maybe I've forgotten. Go here, go to settings. And this is where we connected everything first day of the week, right? So DocuSign connected right there. You can see sort of a readout of what email is associated with that account. That's the one that it's looking for. If I had another DocuSign account and I signed into that, clicking through here would not have worked. So if you really want to drive that home, make sure you're using the right account. Okay, so here we are in DocuSign. All right, so we want to get a document to work. We need to bring in a document. We need to get that document to somebody. They need to sign it. It needs to get back to us. We need to know that it's gotten back to us. And then we need to give this effort, this signed document, to the people at the market center that need to see it, and compliance and all that stuff. So here we are. First thing that you're going to want to do is stop and ask yourself if you put in your NRDS number in DocuSign. I'm going to show you the workflow steps on that. So if you go up here, go to preferences, go to integrations, go to add provider, click the blue R. You're going to put in your NRDS ID number, which I don't have one, so I can't go much further than here. And then click the association, which is now an alphabetized list. It wasn't before. North Carolina Association of Realtors. Get your number in there and hit validate. It's important that you do that. It is not an optional step for two reasons. One, it's what populates all of your forms to your DocuSign account that are relevant to North Carolina and the market center. For one thing. For two, if you've already done that and you're saying, okay, I already have the forms, I don't need to do that step. You still need to do that step because recently they've updated it so that it will say something like, when I go to add DocuSign forms to get a form, it's going to say something like no access because it's a recent update. They want to know that you have a valid number, that you're actually, legit. You have to put it in there. That no access will go away. You'll be able to work with the forms freely because you can see right now, I can't even click it. So take the time to go through those steps, get your number in there. You'll have access to the forms again. One last hitch with that is once you brought in a form, it's going to say across it or down it somewhere. It'll say a little watermark that says sample. Don't get discouraged. That's just to prevent you from printing out a blank form for reason. I don't know what. But in order to make it go away, as soon as you start working with that form, that watermark will go away. You'll be able to work with it normally. As soon as you start kind of filling it out, it knows that it's not a blank form anymore. So that's that sort of pause right there. Let me see if I've missed anything in my notes here. If you want blank forms, you can go to ncrealtors.org, sign into your account, and you'll be able to find them there in the forms and contracts section. You'll be able to print out blank forms that way. You would also, if you don't have an account there, you'll need to make one. You'll have to put in your ID number just like you did here. Anyway, but at least you can print a blank form that way. So here we are. Ordinarily, you'd go here, DocuSign forms, your number's already in there, so all these lists would be populated. You would have access to everything that's on all of these lists. You're going to want to search any given one for whatever it is that you're looking for. So let's see here. What's a really common? Yeah, I'll just pick one, I guess. I don't know, coming soon. I think that's the one I usually get. Click, add selected. Okay, this form is in my room. I added a template to my room. So I want to talk about sort of an accidental pitfall. Make sure people don't make. When you click this little box, it'll bring up a bunch of options up here. One of them is delete. Don't do that. You're not necessarily deleting the work associated with this tile, you're deleting the template. If you delete the template, you won't have access to it anymore. You'll have to import a new one, so on and so on. So if you need to get rid of something that's a mistake, this coming soon guidelines, whatever reason, make sure that you're archiving it instead of deleting it. Archiving it is more likely what you're trying to do anyway, just kind of getting it out of your way because you want to bring in a new one. That's what you'll do. Also note that when we want to work with forms, you click on one and you're going to see a preview. So I have my own terminology for the two different sort of forms filling out in DocuSign. I call it the boring stuff and the exciting stuff. This is how you fill out the boring stuff. You can fill out, the name of the buyers, you can put in the address, this is the boring stuff. What you can't do is sign anything or click anything or put in the fun boxes that have pretty colors and click your initials into. That's the exciting stuff. That's later. So step one, open it up, make sure the boring stuff is proper. Some of that stuff was pre-populated. I'll show you why. There's another details tab over here. If you go over to this details tab and take the time to fill out anything in here that you're aware of, it will populate to other forms as you bring them in. So put in, the seller, the name, their information, their phone numbers, anything that you can think of. You click the edit button, all that will go live. You can click into these boxes and just fill it all out. Everything you can fill out. I think the more you fill out here, the easier time you're going to have because it'll just go to the form. And then you'll have to click save for it to take. Go back to documents in this test listing room test listing documents. That's where we are. Then all of the boring stuff will be populated here. Pardon me. It's also good to note that this goes the other way as well. As you fill out these forms, it will go backwards. Also note that I didn't click save and close. I clicked the little X up here. So this little typo up here that you saw me fill in with says twoost again. If I wanted to save that, make sure you're not just Xing out. You got to save it and close it. And that'll save the boring stuff the way that you left it. And DocuSign sometimes needs some elevator music. Maybe I should bring some with me sometime. And we'll open it back up and it should say test instead of twoost. There it is. So make sure you're doing that. The big yellow button, save and close. Don't just X out. It won't take unless you save it. All right, so you brought in the document that you need to whoever it is you're going to send it to. You filled out the boring stuff. Now we need to send that document to people to do the exciting stuff. So in order to do that, you need to create an envelope. There's no options up here. So in order to do that, you've got to pick whichever ones it is that you're going to want to work. So click that one and any other forms that I want people to sign. We're going to send an envelope. And I know what you're thinking. There's this little envelope icon up there. It's got to be that one, right? Nope, that's email. It's a trick. Don't do that. We're going to go to create envelope, which is a pen for reasons. Create envelope. Once we're in here, we're going to do the exciting stuff. We're going to fill out the where you sign, which people are signing, all of that stuff. The stuff that's like, okay, we're getting it. We're doing the things. So we've got this stuff to the envelope. If you click to view it, you can't change the boring stuff anymore. That's already done. We did that in the other room. So if any of this isn't right, you'll have to stop. You'll have to remove these from the envelope, go back to your room, do the boring stuff the way that you think it should be done. Come back here and you can re-add those documents properly. Now that we're here, we're like, okay, I have the boring stuff filled out. I have this envelope open and I'm going to send it out to people. I got to know who to send it to, who needs to sign it, and in what order. So we're going to say add recipient. Pre-tagged roles. Now this is, okay, I've got these roles that are associated with these forms. I have buyer 1 and buyer 2. So places on this form, there's a place for someone to fill out that is buyer 1. And separately, there's a place to fill out that is buyer 2. Maybe there isn't a buyer 2. We're going to activate one or both. We're going to do both for this example so we can see the two. Okay, so now I'm accepting that there's a buyer 1, there's a buyer 2. We're going to look at the recipients. Who is buyer 1? Somebody. We're going to make it me so that if I accidentally send these things, I'm only bothering me, and my 2 email accounts. Buyer 1, buyer 2, capitalized Jonathan, regular spell Jonathan, and selected. We'll see them pop up here. Buyer 1, buyer 2. All right. Now I also want it to go to someone that doesn't have to sign, but maybe needs to be aware that something has happened. I want to know that this is done, or so that I can move on to the next thing, or be aware that if you're in the room, you'll get a notification that something is complete. But maybe you're working with someone. You can bring them into the room if you want to, or and you can add them this way. So let's go and say this guy, who is someone that we're doing, add selected. This is all me. But now we're going to see that this is not someone who would have to necessarily sign the document. So that's important. So we're going to look at what it is that they need to do first, and then in what order do these things need to happen next. Buyer 1 needs to sign. Buyer 2 needs to sign. That's why they're here. This person is just someone I'm working with, but I want them to be aware that this stuff is happening. They don't need to sign anything, so we're going to change that. So there's some choices here. Needs to view, receives a copy, whatever it's going to be. The difference comes into when we're talking about the order. So step 1 here, step 2 here. That means right now it's set up that buyer 1, buyer 2, when I click, next and send, it's going to send an email out to both of these people at the same time. They both need to sign. When they have both signed, step 1 will be complete, and it will move to step 2, this person who needs to view. Maybe I want to switch that up and make this 2. And I want to make this 3. So 1. All right, everybody, sometimes the keyboard does not like to work. 2, 1. There we go. 1, 2, 3. So now it's set up in a different way. So we've got buyer 2, because it rearranged itself, needs to sign. Once that happens, it'll move to this step, buyer 1. Second step needs to sign. Once that's done, it'll move to step 3. This last person that needs to view. Now, what if needs to view is in between these two? That's where needs to view and receives a copy are a little bit different. So receives a copy is just as follows. So buyer 2 needs to sign. Once that's done, it'll go to step 2. This person receives a copy, boom, it'll go straight to step 3 because all it has to do is send out. It'll check that box. In order to put sort of a pause there, you'll say need to view. Now it'll go from step 1, step 2 won't be satisfied until this person views it. They have to open it. Once that happens, it'll move to step 3. So that's the difference between those two a little bit. Okay, so we've got all of our roles set up and everything and what we're going to do. Move down to the subject. Please DocuSign is not terribly inappropriate, but you probably want to talk about what it is they're DocuSigning or, something that makes it a little bit more relevant. Also up here, envelope name, please DocuSign. You're going to have multiple envelopes. If they all say please DocuSign, you're not going to know what's in them. So make sure that it's named something that's relevant to you. Some people like to put step 1 or phase 1. Some people like to put the main event document that's in there, or, who it's relevant, whatever makes sense to how the process works in your head. Name your envelopes so that you can look at them all and have a good idea what's in each one if they're, separately. So this one would be something like, well, it's supposed to be working with, so, that one and, and other stuff. But you'll have a good idea. Like, okay, this is when I sent that out. There's a few forms that go along with that. I have a good idea what's in this envelope. So name it something relevant. Please DocuSign. That might be a great title because that is just a bunch of letters to most people. And then the message, tell them what they need to do. Please sign this. And then whatever is topical for this person, they might need to understand. Maybe they're really comfortable with tech, maybe they're not. So you can explain through it, or you can say, give me a call and we can talk through it, whatever it's going to be. Also want to point out before we move forward, you can add an access authentication, which is a code. So you can do like 1 2 1 2 1 2 or something more creative than that. And then you're going to want to also put in a private message when you do that, because they're going to need to know what the code is somehow. Now, if the private message is 121212, they're going to get an email with this authentication requirement with the authentication right in it. So what's the point? And maybe it went to the wrong person, or maybe the wrong person opened it. They have the password right there. So why did we do that? So you're not going to want to necessarily put the password there. You're going to say something like text me for the code. You're going to also want to watch spelling. And this way they get it, they send you a text, you send them 121212, they can open the thing. So it's just one more layer of security. So if there's something sensitive about the document that you don't want other people to be able to access it, you can add that layer. So we're gonna get rid of those because I don't want to deal with that. Discard. But it looks like you can also just add a private message. So instead of putting something in the email message here that everyone on this list will get, you can put a private message just prior to for, you know, hey buddy, only that person will see that. So you got a lot of options in here. It's a small screen, but there's a lot of things that can happen in it. Once we have all of that set up the way that we want to, we're going to want to go to next. And this is where I tell everybody, this is kind of when I say, hey, we're working with DocuSign. They're not thinking of rooms or folders or NRDS numbers. They're thinking of this screen. When I say DocuSign, most people are like, this is the screen that is DocuSign. Which can also be misleading because if someone has never used DocuSign, they think they're going to open it up, pick a thing and go straight into here and off we go. And you have to do a bunch of stuff to set it all up for us. So finding this screen can be a little bit of a frustration. So this is how we get here. So here we are, affiliated business arrangement disclosure somehow. And we can see, you know, the form as it's been pre-set up for us. So I want to just point out that I did not come in here and do this ahead of time. That stuff I did. Test 123 main, that was in the details. I didn't actually type that in, it came from the details. So that saved me some time. Maybe I have 10 more documents where I have to put this exact same thing in. So it's just there now. DocuSign, maybe I filled it out on this form. I'll go over to the details section, fill out every other form for me. Saves you some time. And see what I'm getting at here with this time thing. This little box, it's exactly where it needs to be. And it's mapped to exactly who it's supposed to be mapped to. I didn't put that there, this was done already. So if you import the documents through DocuSign, you're filling out your details, all of this stuff just boom, 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 it happens. And you save yourself lots of time because we're all gonna be wildly successful people. We're gonna have lots of clients, lots of forms. You don't wanna be doing this full time. You don't wanna be arranging tiny colored boxes full time. You want this to be done already. So make sure you're using the capabilities of the program. Use the documents that are preloaded as opposed to uploading your own and then putting in your own little boxes. If you choose to do that, there's a way for you to save it. Come find me if you really need to do it that way. You're using a form that you're insisting on doing it your way. You want to put your boxes in. I'll show you how to save it so that it preloads that way. We'll keep saving you that time. A lot of this is already done for you. So let's take a look at the two different people right here, yellow and blue. Blue and yellow. And I can switch between the two. So here's signature, right? So I can bring that over for sign, or I can hit the delete button and get rid of it, or I can click this and I can use our keyboard shortcuts, Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste. And I need lots of signatures. So I'm going to hold down Control and hit V, 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 and make a whole bunch of them. Because I have a lot of places that this person needs to sign. So instead of going over here and being like, over here, and I think it goes over here, you know, you can copy and paste, save yourself that time. I don't need any of these, so I'm going to highlight them all and delete them. Now it's out of the way. Maybe I made a mistake and I hit Control-Z, they all come back. So all those keyboard shortcuts work here. Make sure you're using that to move more quickly. So if I want to switch between the different colored boxes, because all of those were blue, we go up here and I switch to lowercase Jonathan Montrose. Now they're all yellow. So now when I grab one over here, it's a yellow box, and that's going to map to this one, this other buyer, you know, the yellow box one. So when we send this out, one person will only be able to sign one color box and the other person will only be able to sign the other color box. If you made a mistake, I put a signature here, that's yellow, I'm like, oh man. So I can either, you know, delete that, go up here, do that, bring the right one over, okay. Or let's say, you know, that's over here. You can also just change this to that and it changes blue. So maybe you forgot to change, you know, whose boxes you were at for a long period of time. You don't want to delete them all or anything like that. You know, you can just select a bunch of them. Now they're all yellow. Now they're all blue. Maybe I don't want to select ones there in a line. So that one, hold down control, pick that one too. Oh, can't do that in this program. Sometimes you can. Ignore that last bit. So we'll delete that. But that's how we do. You got all these different maps that you can put out there. You can put out radio buttons and they can click them and it's fun. You know, for whatever reason, depending on the form, you can put in text. You know, here is some text. You know, and then you can move that in. So if you need to make a note, you know, initial, someone will click and it'll just put, just, whatever their initial is set to be. But that's what we're doing. You find the different spots on the form and you move the box to the thing and then they get a copy and they click the boxes. In a nutshell, that's what we're doing, which everyone has their own color. So we can go to send, which will bother my email addresses. I'm going to not do that this time. It'll go to my email, open it up, and we're going to see what I'm about to click here with the recipient preview, which I recommend everybody do before sending it out. Just to add that one little second back check. Let's stay professional. Let's know that it's done the right way. We're sending enough forms out to people. We're getting enough emails. Let's just make sure we do it one time the right way. Click that preview. You can see it here in computer. You can see it here in tablet. Here comes that elevator music I was talking about. And there we go. And so you can scroll down and see the different places where one person would be able to sign, viewing as yellow, lowercase Jonathan Montrose. Now, if I switch over to this one, it'll show me all the places where that person would need to sign. It's going to show up as yellow because they're the only person interacting with it at a given time. So player one, player two, right? Player one will always be yellow. So one person is interacting with this document. They're the only person interacting with the document. Their square will appear yellow to them. You go to next and see the next thing that's in the envelope, wherever it is that they have to do there, click to sign. Signature. You can see it on a cell phone. Same idea. Can you read it? Is the way you arrange the form something that's going to work for you? So check all that out. Close it up. Pardon me. I'm going to go back because I don't want to send this to myself today. That would go out. It would send out to everybody. They would get an email in the order that we talked about here. And then you would see it. Let's go save and close. In your envelopes. This is a draft because I didn't send it out. So let's see if I can find one that is got a bunch of it. Let's see here. Try this one. Envelopes. Here we go. So you can see the different stages. So if you go into envelopes on a set transaction, you can say, this one still needs my signature. This one has been completed. This one's, I guess, hasn't been sent out yet. This one still needs someone to sign it. Someone else's signature, your signature. It tells you what stage they're all in. You also get a notification in your email that things are happening and what's going on in there. You can always just click right through here. And here's, that same advice. Click to change this so you don't go crazy. That's your envelope name. Someone hasn't signed it yet. Seller one needs to sign. They haven't signed it yet. So let's go back. And I wanted to show you this really quick. All of this says, please DocuSign, please DocuSign, please DocuSign. Coming soon. Change this so you don't go crazy. What's in this envelope? I don't know. Name it something that's relevant. This is why. This is the screen I'm talking about. You're going to want to click into your different envelopes. Was it this one? Was it that one? You're going to click and go in and get frustrated. Again, saving time is the whole theme of what this program is about. It's what it's trying to save you as much time as possible. You have to work with it in order to do it. So let's go back to documents. We've sent out the stuff. People have signed it. It's come back. We're all set now. So we're going to go back to command. So let's close this up. Now we're in command. Let me go to, what was that one that had all those documents in there? Well, we'll go to details. This little sync transaction button is the details that we're seeing. So I'm going to go back to documents and maybe we'll click a refresh button. We'll see if we can see some of the documents. And it might not because these haven't been properly filled out. So we'll go to room docs. We'll click here, yeah. So DocuSign looks for documents that have been completed. Mine haven't been sent out. They haven't been signed. There's nothing here to attach. Why would you attach a document that hasn't been completed, right? That's the whole idea of this page. So let's go to opportunities. I'll go to all opportunities. I think mine was just test listing standard. Let's try listing, another one, 123 Main Street. Well, try this one. Documents. Room docs. No options. Well, let's keep looking without wasting too much time. I'm looking for test listing 1, I think. But I can't find it. Let's just try listing. Document. DocuSign. Room docs. And really, I'm just tricking you all into seeing the workflow over and over again. So opportunities, all opportunities, my opportunity, documents. Go to transaction or attach files from DocuSign or room docs. There's some. Look at that. So we were looking for 123 West Main Street. So now in this opportunity, in that DocuSign room, I've got documents that I must have sent to myself and clicked to sign. They're just for training purposes. So let's look at what I mean by all of that. 123 Main Street. So I'll back all the way out and you can see the workflow again. All opportunities. 123 Main Street. Documents. Where are we? There we are. I had to pick the checklist that we were on. Nobody panic. So we can switch it to manual. I think I was in the wrong one again, so we'll try this one. View details, documents, wrong one. Opportunities, all opportunities. Oh, I have 213. Let's try West Main Street. Thanks for bearing with me. Documents. So now I expect everyone who's watched this video to thoroughly understand how to get to the documents section and what we need to click to make sure that we can see how to upload, because I've done it like 15 times. So here we are. It's looking for my account in DocuSign, the working folder here. It's going to be room docs, but I want to point out this is gray. I can't do anything with it yet. I'm attaching files from maybe manual so I can browse my computer if I want. But if I'm looking for the DocuSign documents that I've been working with, then I want to click attach files from DocuSign, room docs. All this pops up, and now I can pick anything that's in there that's been completed. And I mean, you can pick anything that's in that room. I have a user guide for desk phones. It's the user manual that I must have made a PDF and put into DocuSign just to kind of fiddle with it. But right now that's, it's listed at working with real estate agents. So if I submitted that to the market center, they'd be like, why did you send me a user guide? And they would bounce it back and you would have trouble and there would be notes. That's all part of the submitting to the market center process. So remember, just because it's on the list doesn't mean it's the proper one. So make sure you're attaching the one that you mean. I'm going to remove that. And when you submit to market center, it's going to the market center. I'm never going to submit that button because I'll be bothering people that don't need to be bothered by my weird cell phone guide nonsenses. But that's what makes it go. So they're going to check, whatever these documents are to make sure that they are done properly. Let's move into offers and commissions before we run out of time. So if you've got, comparing offers and stuff, like add new offers. So I've got a couple here so that we can see what it means to compare. They're all super fake people. We're going to add new offer. So somebody makes an offer. Initial offer. Initial offer, hooray. Let's see if I'm allowed to. Look at that. Offer date. It's going to, default to some dates. Make sure they're as accurate as you can. We're going to go to parties. And you can see how this moves over these little nodes. This is the little, steps you're going to take to get through. Name the buyer. Rich buyer, their email address, whatever their phone is, if they have a fax line, fill all this stuff out as best as you can, their representation that's required, and then over here we've got seller details, all of this stuff, because this is a listing example, that would be you. The associate's name, or I'm sorry, the seller would be your client, the representation would be you. We'll move on to the terms. Oh, I need an associate's name. Here's a name. Chill out. Command. Terms. So you'll need to put in, whatever the terms are, but they need to add together. So if it's like, I'm going to put in wildly terrible amounts, you'll see the total sales price there. So cash, finance, finished price, earnest amount, fill that stuff out. This stuff probably makes a whole lot more sense to someone who's gone to real estate school than me. So fill it out accurately. We'll go to agent analysis. And this is for kind of later, and you can present this to your client as well. So make sure that when you're typing here, if you're planning on using this information, that it's something that you're proud to say. You're not using crude language or, industry slang, that it's something that, someone who needs to understand can understand it. So this is a pro, and this is con. It's con. And summary is, so pro, but, this con. And there you go. Now you can save it. Initial offer, hooray. We're going to save that. Okay, so we've got all these offers because this property is amazing and apparently strangely priced. So we'll go to compare offers, but I can't click that, right? Because it doesn't know what offers I want to compare. So you can select all and compare all of the offers. That might be a lot. So let's check, let's say 3. So these 3 offers are the ones that I would like to take a look at. Compare offers. Look at that. Nice side by side. The name of the different people, all the details that you filled out, notes that you added that may help you remember which offer you're thinking of, because maybe you don't think of it as their name, but you put something here that is, oh yeah, I remember that one. Pre-approved, pre-qualified or not. And then you can email that comparison to somebody. And this is where you want to make sure you're not using crude language or anything. Send it to whatever email address, give it a subject, talk about it, send a copy to your own email so that you know what's going on. And then you can send it right there. If you're familiar with the process, it's going to be great. Click this little eye for a preview and you get this really beautiful comparison of stuff. The person gets to flip through that. They've got your name and your information on it and the DBA logo from your marketing profile, because you definitely filled out your marketing profile perfectly because you've taken my class on it. And this is great stuff. So if you're trying to give somebody, like these are the offers. Now, language in the offers, I know is something that's sort of a compliance issue. I'd like to just point out that, make sure you're being proper, whatever that means to you, legally speaking. If you have questions about that, go to your coach, go to, the broker in charge, make sure you're doing that right. I know there's some certain things that you can and can't say. I don't know them by heart, but there's lots of very smart people around that will help you know that. So close that, and you can send that out. So once you have an offer that you like, you can pick it and, this is the one I want. This commission, change response, manage commission. Notes, timeline, there it is. This timeline might not load because I've been working with these examples for so long that they're too long. Let's go 7 days. Maybe that'll help. Apply. It might not let me. But this will show you everything that's happened in the timeline of the opportunity. So I'm sorry, I can't show an example of that. I should probably create some new opportunities so these don't take so long to load. Let's take a look here. What else do we need to know? Close, lost, and archive. We talked about that a little bit in opportunities. Remember, once you've accepted an offer and you submit it to the market center and they're processing your commission request and everything, that you're moving it over to this little close thing once everything's said and done. Don't archive it. Don't archive it here. Don't list it as lost, because it's not an archived opportunity. It's not a lost opportunity. It's a closed opportunity. Put it where it goes. So archive means there's a mistake. I regret that mistake and I need to start a new opportunity. So archive, and I'm making a new opportunity. We're starting over. Lost opportunity means, this existed. Everything was accurate. Things were factual, but this opportunity didn't close. It was a lost opportunity. So you would click lost here. You'd be able to see that in your all opportunities tab by using the filters that we talked about previously, but make sure you're putting these opportunities where they're supposed to be. I would say that it's most important to, once they are done, that they're in whatever stack they should be. That's probably the most important detail. Lost, archived, or closed. Stepping back further, if you've got these in these different stages properly, these numbers will adjust as it becomes more likely that whatever opportunity you have is getting closer to being an actual closing. So your probable income will shift and go up the closer things get down the pipeline. So if you're going to start working with reports, which I have learned aren't completely built out yet, but they're doing everything that they can. But in order for these to report properly, what's going on in your opportunities needs to be accurate. That's a big part of where they draw from. For now, if there's anything in this reports column that you wished you could see, but you can't for some reason, go to my KW and go to the reports there. If you need help finding that, come find me. And that's where you would check that out. But this report section has got some cool stuff in it, not to get too far off track. You want to take a look at, how well your email campaigns are doing, who's, doing different things with them. Take a look at it here. I haven't sent any out, so mine are all zeros, but you can see like who's unsubscribed and which ones were delivered or not and opened and clicked and who replied back. So let's see. I have a note to look at the KWLS here. Let's see if we can find what I'm trying to tell myself to find. So if we click here, you can put in, wherever it is you're trying to find that way. And I couldn't find this last time, so I'm wondering if I won't be able to this time either. Let's see. Maybe it has to be in buyers. Let's see if that's what I'm talking about. Look it up here. Details. Property. Okay, so this is the same place where you can, put in that property. It's going to ask you to pick one so that everything populates properly. So it's not just something that you click in, it's actually got to come from a database somewhere. Opportunity ID. Well, of course, I can't find it again this time. But I would say what I'm trying to get at is there's a place that you can search by the KWLS ID. If you happen to know that, it's more likely that you're going to get like the exact information that you're looking for. So if you're here and you can't quite find it, come find me and we'll dig around until we can find it. But that's how you figure that out. Let me take a look here one last time before I give up on everybody. Yeah. All right. Maybe it's just gone now. I'm not sure. Anyway, so that's how you deal with that. All right. Well, I think that's all the content I wanted to cover today. I actually went a little bit longer than I would have planned because I didn't really leave any time for questions, but there's no one here to ask questions anyway, so we might as well use that time, I suppose. But just, remember, if you have questions, you can come and find me. There'll be a class like this every month. And